The desert wind whispered secrets long before ink met papyrus, before pyramids touched the skies, before gods walked among men. Beneath the golden sands of North Africa lies a story older than memory, etched in stone, buried in tombs, and flowing with the eternal Nile, the story of Egypt. Not just a kingdom, not merely a civilization, but a living myth that refused to fade. It began, they say, not with a bang, but with a flood. Each year, like clockwork, the Nile would swell and spill over its banks, leaving behind a black silt so rich it turned an unforgiving desert into the cradle of abundance. This cycle, this sacred rhythm, became Egypt's heartbeat. From it rose not only crops but culture, not just harvests, but gods. The people believed the river was a divine gift, and so they named it Iteru, the Great River. Without it, there would be no Egypt. With it, they defied time. Before the pharaohs ruled, before the pyramids stood, there were small farming communities scattered along the Nile, around 5000 BCE. These early Egyptians were peaceful and practical. They built with mud brick, crafted pottery, and worshipped local spirits. But something was stirring in the sands, a force of unity, a vision of destiny. Around 3100 BCE, that destiny found its name, Narmer. He was the first to do the unthinkable, unite Upper and Lower Egypt into a single kingdom. With his victory, Narmer didn't just create a nation, he forged a legacy. And from that moment on, Egypt would not see itself as a land of tribes, but as a chosen realm under one divine ruler, the pharaoh. Pharaohs were no ordinary kings. They were gods in human form. Their bloodlines weren't simply royal, they were celestial. Horus, the falcon god of the sky, was said to live within them. Their word was law, their will, divine command. They held the crook and flail not just as symbols of power, but as the tools of shepherds guiding their people through the ages. But what kind of civilization builds tombs larger than palaces? What kind of people spend decades, generations even, stacking stones to reach the heavens? The Old Kingdom answered that question with pyramids. Around 2600 BCE, Pharaoh Djoser envisioned more than just a burial site. With the genius of his architect Imhotep, he raised the first step pyramid at Saqqara, a monument to ambition. But it was Sneferu, the innovator king, who obsessed over perfecting the pyramid's shape. He failed twice. First, the bent pyramid, its angles awkward, its sides flawed. Then came success, the red pyramid, a smooth, clean, geometric marvel. Yet it was Sneferu's son, Khufu, who would outdo all. He commanded the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, over 2 million limestone blocks, weighing up to 15 tons each. How they were moved, how they were placed with such precision, that remains a mystery. Even today, with all our machines, we marvel, not just at the size, but the audacity. While pyramids soared skyward, Egyptian society flowered below. Scribes, priests, artisans, merchants, each had their role in the divine order known as Maat. This was not just law, it was cosmic balance, justice, harmony, truth. The pharaoh wasn't just a ruler, he was the anchor of this universal balance. But no empire is eternal. After centuries of glory, cracks began to show. Climate shifts, crop failures, and internal strife pulled Egypt into its first intermediate period, a time of chaos and competing dynasties. But Egypt was not done. Out of the disarray rose the Middle Kingdom, and with it, a new kind of pharaoh. No longer aloof gods, these rulers were shepherds in every sense. They dug canals, protected borders, and expanded trade. Egypt found its footing again. But in the shadow of its rebirth, a new threat crept in, one Egypt had never faced: invasion. The Hyksos arrived with horse-drawn chariots and superior weaponry. These Asiatic warriors didn't destroy Egypt, they ruled it. For over a century, foreign kings sat on Egyptian thrones. But this humiliation lit a fire. From Thebes rose a dynasty that would reshape Egypt's future, the 18th. Ahmose I drove out the Hyksos. His successors, Thutmose, Hatshepsut, Akhenaten, Tutankhamun, they didn't just rule, they redefined what it meant to be Egyptian. Take Hatshepsut, a woman who dared to become pharaoh in a man's world. She wore the false beard, adopted male titles, and oversaw a golden age of trade and architecture. Her temple at Deir el-Bahari still stands, carved into a cliff like a poem in stone. And yet, after her death, someone tried to erase her. Her statues defaced, her name scratched from records. But history has a way of remembering greatness, even when men try to forget. Then came Akhenaten, the heretic king. He shattered centuries of tradition, abolished Egypt's pantheon, and declared Aten, the sun disk, as the one true god. Monotheism in ancient Egypt, a radical thought. He moved the capital to a new city, Akhetaten. Art changed, faces grew elongated, eyes dreamy. The divine became human. But his revolution was short-lived. After his death, his city crumbled, and the priests restored the old gods. His son, the boy king Tutankhamun, reversed his father's heresies. But Tut was not remembered for his rule. He was remembered for his tomb. Untouched by looters, it lay hidden for over 3,000 years. When Howard Carter opened it in 1922, the modern world gasped. Gold, jewels, chariots, and that haunting golden mask. In death, Tutankhamun became immortal. Then came Ramses the Great, the builder, the warrior, the legend. He ruled for 66 years, fought the mighty Hittites at Kadesh, signed the world's first peace treaty, and littered Egypt with statues of himself so colossal they dwarfed gods. Was he vain? Undoubtedly. Was he effective? Without question. To many, he was the last great pharaoh. After Ramses, the light dimmed. Foreign powers circled like vultures. Libyans, Nubians, Assyrians, Persians, each left their mark. Egypt, once invincible, became a prize. In 332 BCE, a new conqueror arrived, Alexander the Great. With him came the Greeks, and with them, a new chapter. The Ptolemies ruled Egypt from Alexandria, blending Hellenic and Egyptian culture. Cleopatra VII, brilliant, seductive, tragic, was their last queen. She spoke Egyptian, embraced native gods, and fought to preserve Egypt's independence. But she was outmatched. Rome was rising, and when Cleopatra died by her own hand in 30 BCE, so too did the last echo of pharaohs. Egypt became a Roman province. The gods fell silent, the hieroglyphs were forgotten, temples crumbled, and the desert, patient as always, began to reclaim what was once divine. But Egypt never truly vanished. In the 19th century, explorers cracked open tombs and deciphered the Rosetta Stone. The silence was broken. Mummies, once feared, became curiosities. The world looked back in awe, realizing that ancient Egypt wasn't just history. It was the foundation of civilization itself. Even now, new discoveries are made. Hidden chambers and pyramids, undisturbed tombs, whispers of lost queens and forgotten gods. Egypt still guards her secrets, still tempts the curious, still breathes through stone and sand. So the next time you see the Nile, or stare into the golden mask of Tutankhamun, remember, you are not looking at relics, you are peering into a mirror of humanity's earliest dreams. In Egypt, the past is never truly past. It lives, it lingers, it waits, and the story isn't over.